Hey, greetings everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lore of Warcraft. I am happy to be here bringing you some more content. On our last episode, we picked up where we left off a while ago with our Orc Warrior tank, Protection Warrior in the Barrens, and he actually had a side jaunt, a couple Barrens missions that send you out and back to Stone Talon. So he did that. One was a Warrior quest, one was Deep Talon. He's probably got 1 to 2 jaunts of missions that he's going to have to do to get him ready to go down to Thousand Needles and be officially wrapped on the Barrens. But we've also been reading the World of Warcraft Official Magazine, a hard-to-find gem that we've unearthed. It's a 5-issue run. We're in the 2nd issue. Last episode where we read on this, we looked at some of the quest creators that their job is literally to make quests for WoW. Can you believe that? How dope that would be. Looks like there's some light programming, but you're using like a tool. Like I 100% without a shadow of a doubt feel like it's a job I could handle and do well at. And to be allowed to go in there and do that for your paycheck, just so cool. I would because I'm pretty tech savvy. I'm pretty good at writing, and I definitely know the lore. So I would hands down, I'd jump at the opportunity. So we're going to continue. So stay a while and listen. This is called The Ultimate Guide to World of Warcraft Dragons. We get a cool picture of Deathwing, who is a dope-looking dragon. Everything you ever wanted to know about the scaly-winged protectors of Azeroth, but were too afraid to ask. If you spend any time poking your dwarf's beard or Draenei's tail around the nooks and crannies of Azeroth, you've encountered dragons. From taking down your first whelps in the Red Ridge Mountains to trying your plated hands at the femme fatale of all dragon bosses, Onyxia. Dragons are as inextricably tied to the lore of World of Warcraft as they are the gameplay. Early in Azeroth's history, before the first orc ever raised a battle axe against a human or night elf, the Titans appointed 5 dragon aspects, leaders of the 5 dominant lines of dragons or dragonflights, to serve and protect all things Azeroth. From the War of the Ancients to the defense against the Karaji during the War of the Shifting Sands, many of the world's key events and conflicts hinged largely on the will and wherewithal of some rather large and winged heroes, and obviously that has only become more true. So we have a lexicon, the who's who and what's what of the dragonkin. Here we have kind of 2 coming at each other. Even as a sketch, it looks cool. It's a blue one. Sure, a dragon's a dragon, but what the heck is a warp stalker or an aspect, and what in Gul'dan's name is a dragonflight? You'll find the answers here. The basics, a dragon glossary. A dragon, storied ancient winged lizard-like beings who have endured millennia of massive ups and downs. These scaly creatures typically tote oodles of health and come packing sweet epic drops. The original Titan-approved and Titan-appointed keepers of Azeroth, now they and their various dragonkin serve in specific posts across the continents. While some are charged with protecting important stuff like time, others' purposes are not so noble. An example would be Anachronos. Trying to remember who Anachronos is. I believe he's the guy in the Caverns of Time. Malygos, who is, of course, the aspect of the blue, and Onyxia, who is the daughter and OG dragon for the Black Flight. A dragon aspect, or aka a great aspect, one of the 5 leaders of the dragonflights, each charged to protect one aspect of the world, such as nature or time, hence the name. The aspects are Alexstrasza, life, red; Malygos, arcane magic, blue; Ysera, nature, or green; Nosdormu, time, bronze; and Neltharion, earth, black. Here's a cool sketch. Maybe that's like an original sketch of what they thought. That doesn't even really look like a dragon. It looks more like a drake. And here we have a little baby wormling. A dragonflight is a significantly large and structured group of dragons, always of one color. There are 5 dominant dragonflights, red, blue, green, bronze, and black. Dragonkin is any creature or being descended from a dragon, is a part of the dragonkin. A drake, yeah, so that's a picture up there. Younger dragons, these adolescents, make great flying mounts. Example, the bronze drake mount from the timed infinite corruptor boss in the heroic culling of Stratholme instance. Location, Burning Steppes, the Swamp of Sorrows, Winterspring, Dragonblight, Wyrmrest Temple, and in dungeons galore. You'll also spy these and proto-drakes, see below, at the Dalaran flight point as players' mounts. And proto-drakes would be more like what we encounter leading up into this story. And what in that book we read, the five book series, whatever it was called, the Time of the Ancients or something like that. Proto-drakes. The entire known species of dragons descended from the proto-drakes. There are several notable proto-drakes, including Galacrond and Varanus, the former of whom has been called the progenitor of dragon kind. The Titans used him to create the aspects. Varanus, the mother of the Storm Peaks proto-drakes, is involved in the struggle between players and Loken, culminating with her being transformed into Razor Scale in Ulduar. I did not know that the Titans took Galacrond and made the aspects from them. That's something that we have to kind of expand on, because they don't talk about that in the book we read. Location, these are found in Northrend, particularly the Ember Clutch in Howling Fjord. Yeah, you fight a lot of them there. Whelps. That looks like a little skeleton whelp. Also known as dragon whelplings, dragonlings, or broodlings, these little guys are the tiniest of the dragons, veritable newborns. These tykes litter the landscape from the hills of Lakeshore to the wastes of the Badlands, and tons of other places too. Blackrock, they can be found in Blackrock Spire, Blackwing Lair, Blades Edge Mountains, Burning Steppes, Dustwallow Marsh, Red Ridge Mountains, Winter Spring, Swamp of Sorrows, Temple of Atal Hakar, Blood Mist Isle, Caverns of Time, Opening the Dark Portal, Scholomance Wetlands, and Worms. The senior citizen of dragons, the worm denotation usually signifies a mature dragon more than 500 years old, or simply refers to the adult stage of the dragon life cycle. The aspects, for example, can be considered worms. An ember worm, a scourge reanimated skeletal corpse of red dragons found in the Dragon Shrine in the Dragon Blight. A magma worm, a scourge reanimated skeletal corpse of black dragons found in the Maw of Neltharion and Dragon Blight, and a frost worm, scourge reanimated skeletal corpses of dragons found in the Boneyard, the Dragon Blight, and your login screen, because that's the thing that there's one found in Icecrown Citadel. Oh, great! I did a bad job with the scan here. Is it or isn't it a dragon? This looks like a kind of a dragon kin type of thing. If it has wings, scales, and a breath attack, it's a dragon, right? Not always, and here's a list to prove it. Behold, some of the beasties that look or sound like they might be a dragon but aren't necessarily, such as dragonhawks. It's unconfirmed whether these colorful eagle dragon raptor creatures are dragonkin descendants. They make awesome mounts that aren't easy to come by. You can only get them as an achievement reward in Mountains of Mounts for having 100 mounts, or as an expensive Argent tournament reward for Horde players, both exalted with the Sun Reavers and with 150 champion seals to burn. Yeah, because I think they're little, I want to say that's the flying mount. You can get those, but maybe not. Maybe the flying mount for Blood Elves is something a little different, but I feel like I have quite a few. I feel like I've got a few different ones now. They're a little easier to get. Dragon Spawn. Okay. While we may not know their exact origin, 5 types of dragon spawn exist, serving each of the respective dragonflights. The notable dragon spawn, there's Black Lord Hammerrock, Dracos the Interrogator, General Cerulean, General Kolbaton, General Drakasath, Goramash, Lord Captain Wirmak, Lord Radan, Overlord Wormthalak, Razor Gore the Untamed, Solakar Flame Wreath, Therapentus, and there's tons more now. But they didn't answer these questions about whether or not they're related to dragons for me. Look at this. That's a cool one. Cool picture. So it's maybe like Dragon Blight, but it's hard to say. So we're going to continue to look at these. Draconids. Draconids look roughly part dragon, part humanoid. You can find them twirling their pole arms everywhere from Blackwing Lair to the Nexus. Again, it's hard for me to distinguish between the two. Notable Draconids are Broodlord Lashlayer, Chronoloord Deja, Chronoloord Epoch, Curator Insidious, Pharathos, Lord Valthalak, Maxnar the Ashmaw, Orchaos the Insane, Rask, Varos Cloudstrider, Warbringer Gordrak. Fairy dragons, also known as blink dragons, Fey dragon, or Fey drake, they're found in the Emerald Dream, the Blades Edge Mountains, and Stonetail Mountains. Yeah, probably not really dragons? I don't know, kind of. This guy looks cool with his horns. Mana worms. More worms than worm with a Y. These little glowing creatures float around feeding off arcane energy. They're mighty nasty, but make great pets. Mana wormling pets can be bought from a vendor with golden Netherstorm. You can also exchange some champion seals won in the Argent tournament for a similar pet, the Shimmering Wormling. They're found in the Netherstorm, Quel'Thalas, and other Blood Elf territory. A Scalebane, the elite Elder spellcasting class of the Dragon Spawn, found in the Wetlands, Swamp of Sorrows, Sunken Temple, Ajara, Crystal Song Forest, Winterspring, and Dustwillow Marsh. Warp Stalkers, that's what this picture is. Though these guys might look like low-to-the-ground dragons sporting hydraulics, they aren't. But, hey, they can phase in and out of astral dimensions. They are indigenous to Outland, frequenting Terakar Forest and Netherstorm. Wormkin above sea dragon spawn. All right, cool. Now we're going to go through each aspect, or each flight, probably. So let's look at the red aspect, Alexstrasza the Lifebounder. She can be found in Wyrmrest Temple, or in the wetlands surrounding Grimbatal, or at Hyjal Summit. Primary World Association, Life and Living Creatures. The Dragon Queen ruler of the Red Dragon Flight, imbued by the Titan Aenar, in charge to look after all living creatures on Azeroth, Alexstrasza came to the aid of Malfurion Stormrage during the resistance that led to a battle in the Night Elf capital of Zinajari and ultimately the Sundering. During the Second War, she and her flight were captured and held as slaves for 5 years by the Horde to produce offspring for the Orcs. She was set free after the Battle of Grimbatal when Krasis and a Dalaran mage named Ronan stole the Demon Soul and alongside Malygos, Nosdormu, and Ysera destroyed it and banished Deathwing. Coriel Straz, a lover and a fighter, and the current prime consort of the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. These are the major players for her flight. Coriel Straz is the brainy adventurer of the Reds. He's hyper-intelligent and known for his stand-up confidence and self-control. As Krasis, his elven mage form, he serves as a senior member of the Kirin Tor and one of the Six, the ruling council of Dalaran, but he's also a heroic warrior when duty calls. During the War of the Ancients, he became uncharacteristically weak when his future self from 10,000 years later accidentally traveled back in time while investigating an anomaly, causing both versions of Krasis to occupy the same era at once. He also spearheaded the eventual rescue of Alexstrasza, enlisting the help of Ronan and heroically pulling the remaining aspects together to send Deathwing into hiding once and for all. Well, at least until the Cataclysm. Tirana Straz, former consort of Alexstrasza, killed by Deathwing. His skull can be seen on display in the Hall of Explorers in Ironforge. Vela Straz, this poor chap was enslaved by Deathwing's son Nefarian and went on to become one of the toughest and most notorious raid bosses in Blackwing Lair. Kaela Straz, the son of Alexstrasza, led the fight for the Reds against the Silithan and Karaji in the War of the Shifting Sands. Alright, so here's kind of like a little family tree for her. Alexstrasza, her consorts are Tirana Straz and Coriel Straz. That was her first and the current prime consort. She has her sister, Ysera, who is related to Kaela Straz. Kaela Straz is the son of Alexstrasza and related to Ysera and Merithra, but the father is unknown. So obviously, if they are related, the father has got to be somehow related to Ysera as well. Weird. There's some definitely animal incestuousness going on. Children, Vela Straz, unknown father, so not from these different... There's other consorts. Minions are Kerastrazza, the servant of Alexstrasza, killed Saragossa, unwilling consort of Malygos. I think you kind of deal with that in the section on Borean Tundra where you fight Malygos. Kandra Straz, Korastrazza, a brother and sister. These two are. Oh no, Raileraz, unknown parents. So Korastrazza and Raileraz. So these are just other maybe children of hers. Gameplay trivia. In addition to running into the red aspect atop Wyrmrest Temple, players can encounter Alexstrasza in her full dragon glory at Angrathar the Wrathgate after completing the Return to Angrathar quest. It's notable that she comes packing nearly 140 million hit points, making her the second healthiest creature in all of Azeroth, second only to Elaine, or to Flame Leviathan in 25-player Ulduar. She also pops up on the Nexus raid Eye of Eternity to help put the hurt on Malygos. Alright, cool. Speaking of Malygos, he's going to be our second focus. Malygos the Spellweaver, Lord of Magic and Steward of Magic. He's found in Koldara, that's what I was trying to think of. The Nexus, Maztharil, Lake Menar, and Hyjal Summit. Primary World Association is Arcane Magic. The eldest of the 5 aspects and one of the oldest beings on Azeroth, Malygos was given a portion of the Titan magic master Norgannon's power, making him the guardian of arcane magic. Along with the other 4 flights, he was betrayed by Neltharion during the War of the Ancients, but of all 5 aspects, he alone endured, witnessing his blue flight all but put to death before his eyes that day, including the death of his original consort, Sindragosa. Consequently, he went a bit insane, but finally regained his sanity after 10,000 years. After he recovered his senses, he declared war against the Kirin Tor and pretty much anyone who uses arcane magic for fear that reckless activity might create another cosmic disturbance and attract more trouble to Azeroth. Malygos currently resides in the Eye of Eternity. Yeah, poor dudes. I would still consider that crazy. Okay, the major players in the blue flight. There's Kalecgos, one of the few surviving blues. Kalecgos aided Anvina Teague before discovering she was the avatar of the Sunwell. His attempt, we read that story also, if you want to check out those previous episodes if you haven't. His attempt to foil the Burning Legion's plan to exploit her wound up with him being possessed by the Dreadlord Sathravar the Corruptor. I think that was a manga. Now free from the demon's control, Kalecgos serves as ambassador of the Blue Dragonflight to the Wyrmrest Accord and appears in Alexstrasza's chamber in Wyrmrest Temple. I kind of think nowadays he is the Blue Dragon aspect. Sapphiron, slain by Arthas Menethil, this Frostworm holds court over Kel'Thuzad's inner sanctum and keeps the key to the focusing iris, which opens the Eye of Eternity. Sindragosa, this blue beauty, is a veritable rock star these days, but her acclaim is well earned considering what she's gone through, being stranded to die in Northrend during the War of the Ancients, only to be turned into a skeletal frostworm by the Lich King himself. For that, she was repaid with the honor of starring in the Wrath of the Lich King cinematic. All right, so his little family tree is, he has the consorts Sindragosa, formerly, now she's a frostworm, and Hala, the matron protectorate. Karastraza was an unwilling consort from the Red Dragonflight. I think that's the Koldor questline gives you that. His children, there's Aragos, a son, we don't know who the mother is. Balakgos, same deal, son, we don't know the mother. Minions, Tiragosa, who is betrothed to Kalecgos. Andargos and Kalecgos is in love with Anvina Teague, the avatar of the Sunwell. And I also think he's had a relationship with Jaina Proudmoore. He gets around. Sindragosa may currently hold the title of most likely to be seen creature in World of Warcraft, since she and her roar have been part of the login screen since the Echoes of Doom content update just prior to the Wrath of the Lich King's launch. Yeah. Alright, so now on to the Bronze Flight. Nosdormu the Timeless, found in the Caverns of Time in Tanaris, Dragonblight, Silithus, and Hyjal Summit. His primary world association is Time. This reclusive hulk kept to himself and his work, nary making appearances outside the Caverns of Time for eons, save for a handful of important world events. Empowered by Aman'Thul, the High Father of the Pantheon, with the ability to protect time itself and monitor destiny and fate, Nosdormu makes sure that certain events happen a particular way, even if they appear to be bad. Consequently, he even knows when and how he will die. He can be encountered briefly during the Mystery of the Infinite questline at the Bronze Dragon Shrine, where he appears in a ghost state in conflict with the Infinite Flight. Okay, the major players of his aspect are Anachronos, successor to Nosdormu. Anachronos agreed to help Night Elf Fandral Staghelm during the War of the Shifting Sands against the insectoid Karaji, joined by Kalestraz, child of Alexstrasza from the red, Aragos, child of Malygos from the blue, and Marithra, child of Ysera of the green flight, so all of their kids except for Onyxia. Anachronos led the Aspect's progeny into the skies as a united front for the first time since their forebears' ill-fated last flight during the War of the Ancients. Needless to say, Neltharion, Deathwing's eldest son, didn't get an invitation to the reunion. Nefarian. But now I like that now there are Black Dragonflight people that could be tapped for that sort of thing. Chronormu, or Chromie, she's a temporal investigator, she's an ambassador, and she floats in the air after Stratholme has been satisfactorily culled. Chromie's the real ham of the Dragonkin, though she's actively played many a role in regulating time, including a heroic jump backward at the Anderhall ruins. Chromie will most likely always be known for her role in the culling of Stratholme instance. That girl is famous. She's one of the most fun characters in all of World of Warcraft, so she's extended well beyond just that, being known for that one thing. Soradormi, Nosdormu the Timeless's prime consort, second in command of his Bronze Dragonflight, and leader of the Scale of the Sands. Soradormi currently possesses and protects the 4th and 5th vials of eternity taken from the Well of Eternity by Illidan Stormrage during the battle for Zinajari. That's kind of cool. I didn't know she had that. Also, we encounter her in one of the books. She's the one in that Krasis is trying to talk to, and he's trying to reunite the aspects. All right, so his thing, he has Sor Dormi, his prime consort, and Anachronos is his son. The Keepers of Time leaders is Endormu and Nazari, a brother and sister co-leader of the Keepers of Time. The rest of the Keepers of Time are Erosion, Sa'at, Zaladormu, Zephyr, and Zadormi. Some trivia: you can find Zaladormu in the Caverns of Time, though he doesn't seem to be doing much unless it's Children's Week. When you bring your orphan to see him, a pair of Wardens of Time seem bent on eradicating the child, until Zaladormu commands them to stop because the orphan should not be held responsible for things she might do or fail to do in the future. Curious. All right, and the green dragonflight led by the green aspect Ysera the Dreamer, found in the Emerald Dream, the Great Trees in Ashenvale Forest, Swamp of Sorrows, surrounding and inside the Temple of Atal-Hakar and Hyjal Summit, and her primary world association is nature. She's druid aligned. For a dragon that never wakes up, Ysera sure has a lot of nicknames. She of the Dreaming, the Dreamer, Mistress of Dreams, Lady of Dreams. She's also Alexstrasza's younger sister and similarly blessed by Anar with a portion of nature's influence. She remains in a trance state, watching over the wilderness from the eye of Ysera deep within the Emerald Dream. She can be found in the Emerald Dragon Shrine in Dragonblight, doing her thing, sleeping. And also makes a cameo in her Night Elf form during the fight against Yogg Saron and Ulduar, appearing in a flashback in which all 5 aspects give of their essences to create the Dragon Soul. Her major players are Aranikis, consort to Ysera and one of the mightiest greens. Aranikis became mad while protecting the Temple of Atal-Hakar in the Swamp of Sorrows. Aranikis' tale, Aranikis, is befitting of the swamp in which he now resides, sleeping in the depths of Sunken Temple, and he's pretty much one of the best classic trinkets you can get. Comes from him. The Emerald Nightmare and the Dragons of Nightmare. If you sleep every day, you're bound to have nightmares sometime. Just ask Lethon, Emerus, Terrar, and Isandra, Ysera's once trusted lieutenants. A force of corruption that roams like a brewing storm through the Emerald Dream, the Nightmare causes corruption at even the highest levels of the Green Guard. Following on the heels of her chief officers and succumbing to the sickness, there's talk that even Ysera herself may have become turned by the Nightmare, especially considering her aggressive response to a recent call for help against the Scourge, to which she simply replied with orders to attack any non-greens who approached the Emerald Dragon's Shrine. Okay, her little tree, she has Aranikis, her consort, and her daughter Marithra. Her sisters Alexstrasza, and the Green Brood is Vethsera, Itharius, and Velithria. Not a lot. They're grasping for her, although I think there's more now. In an interesting turn, Aranikis' soul becomes trapped in a trinket, and players in Sunken Temple must decide to free him or not. It's almost worth it not to, just to see what happens. Aranikis also features prominently in the Scepter of the Shifting Sands storyline as a keeper of one of the shards of the scepter that must be recombined. Okay, and finally, for this section, we're going to get into the Black Flight with Neltharion / Deathwing. Found in Blackwing Lair and Blackrock Spire, Searing Gorge, Redridge Mountains, the Badlands, Dustwallow Marsh, Bladeshead Mountains, the Obsidian Sanctum, Grimbatal. He is associated with the power of Earth, and you can find him other places now too, or then. In short, he's the original bad guy in the Dragon universe, if there is such a thing, empowered with authority over the Earth by the Titan Khazgaroth, and later driven mad by the old gods. He betrayed the other aspects with the Dragon Soul, also called the Demon Soul, as it corrupted him into a hater of anything and everything fun. He will make his first appearance in World of Warcraft in Cataclysm. Okay, the major players of his flight are Cintharia, aka Sinestra, the former prime consort of Deathwing and mother of Nefarian and Onyxia. Cintharia was put to death by her own offspring, the Twilight Dragon Darganax. Before that, she brought up the first Twilight Dragons through dark experiments, but never fully raised the flight into a viable army. Lord Davil Prester, that is him. When bad dragons impersonate humans, they do it right. As Davil Prester, Dragon Aspect Deathwing spent a few years building his prestige among the royal courts of Lordaeron, all in the name of vengeance. Toward that end, he sought to erode the Alliance from the inside out. Lord Prester aligned himself with King Taranis and weighed in on topics including the removal of Ultrak's king, Lord Aiden Perinold. Eventually using mind control to influence Taranis, Prester would later make a bid for not only the throne of Ultrak, but the hand of Taranis' daughter, Princess Kalia, which is also the name of one of our characters. It's based on her, which would have forged a marital alliance between the new king of Ultrak and the king of Lordaeron. Lord Prester fell off the social scene before either could happen, abandoning his chateau and servants after the Battle of Grim Batol. This coincides with Deathwing's hiding period after his defeat at the hands of the other aspects, when the demon soul was destroyed, which precluded Deathwing from any more Prester-flavored political attempts at coups. Onyxia, the daughter of Deathwing and Sinestra, sister to Nefarian and broodmother to the Black Flight, Onyxia rules the roost in the Dragon Murk swamps outside the Dustwallow Marsh, tending to her eggs to increase the numbers and strength of her black dragons. In her human form, as Lady Katrana Prester, she exercised her heavy influence over the Stormwind House of Nobles. Okay, so there's Nefarian, aka Blackwing, the eldest son of Deathwing. He's a regular chip off the old block. He's big, mean, and nasty. Leader of the Chromatic Dragons and Lord of Blackrock as Lord Victor Nefarious in human form, Nefarian helped raise the Chromatic Dragons through his evil sorcery. I feel like there's some gray area with Nefarian. He's kind of the least evil of those three, although, I mean, that's not a high bar. So his consort is Synthera or Sinestra, that formed the Twilight Dragonflight and Darganax. Children Onyxia, the daughter, Nefarian, the son. Sibelian is also a son, and Sibelian, and I believe Nefarian are both play a big role in Dragonflight. The Netherwing brood is Neltharaku and Karanaku, the patriarch and matriarch of the Netherwings. Those are his brood that came out on Outlands. And Mordanaku, I think you can fight that one in a phased kind of thing. Onyxia is the star of one of the most infamous raid instances, consisting of a single boss fight that was recently updated for World of Warcraft's 5-year anniversary. She now drops an incredibly rare 310% speed brood of Onyxia flying mount, made in her exact likeness. I maybe have seen that like one time ever, and I don't know if it still has that massive speed buff. All right, so we are... Let's see. I think this is... It's another article, but I think it's places that are going to change. It's going to be the last chance to see them. The past couple reading ones we've hit. It's been kind of long. So I know we're right there coming up at that 30-minute mark. But rather than start another one, which might double that time, I think we'll call it on this one. But it'll balance out, because I think the last episode we did to finish off the issue 1, not the last one, but the one before, it was like an hour and 20 minutes or something crazy like that. So, yeah, we'll just say this time we have another episode in the pipe 5x5. Thanks everybody so much for watching, for tuning in. I like this one because it was lore focused. Those are the best articles by far. And yeah, we'll see what happens on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft. Thanks everyone. Peace.